Whenever you're ready.
It's Finnegan and Freiburger, and you are expecting roadkill right now. Sorry, you're not going to get it. We suck. What happened?
Well, instead, we're actually going to give them some good stuff. Remember the 66 Buick we dragged out of a backyard in Arizona where it had been parked for 33 years and we drove it home? Well, now we're going to hop the thing up a little bit, turn it into a daily driver, so check this out. We're going to run the thing on the Autocross with all new classic performance product suspension.
So about 2 weeks ago, Freiburger calls me up and says he wants to test a car at El Toro. So I say, yeah, okay, let's do it. He pulls up in this, and I'm like, you're kidding, right?
If you follow Hot Rod Unlimited, you might know the story of this 66 Buick. We dragged it out of the desert where it was parked, neglected for 33 years. We got it running and drove it home from Phoenix to LA. But now, I'm gonna live up to my promise to thrash on it here at El Toro Marine Base, where we're gonna run the Autocross, the slalom, and do some brake testing. The really amazing thing about this car is how little it needed after being just buried for 3 decades. As a matter of fact, it ran so good that we decided to just turn it into a competent daily driver. That involved boiling out the fuel system, and we put a new radiator in it, spark plug wires. But the big deal is the suspension was clapped out. And so now we've gone through it front to back, all with parts from a company called CPP.
Well, here in the Hot Rod shop, I just got done updating the chassis on this 66 Buick convertible special. We took all the stock suspension parts off the car that were rusty and worn out, you know, just kind of outdated, and replaced them all with classic performance products. Tubular control arms, we've got the lower and upper control arms here. We've got their drop spindles. It's a 2-inch drop spindle with a stock height spring. We have 11-inch disc brakes that replace the old worn out drum brakes. We have a heavy-duty 1.1" sway bar for the front, as well as all new steering components, tie rod ends, this billet adjuster sleeve, center link, pitman arm, power steering box, even a rag joint. So the front suspension of this thing is all dialed, all new, ready to go, and should work well. Here in the back, we took out all the stock suspension, the stamped steel trailing arms with the worn out bushings, which is pretty typical with a car this age, and replaced them with classic performance products. Here we have these heavy duty upper and lower control arms for the rear. They're tubular instead of stamped steel, which makes them a lot more heavy duty, and they even have these tie-in brackets to tie in the suspension with the rest of the chassis in the car to help stiffen things up. We have a heavy-duty sway bar for the rear, as well as drop coil springs to lower the ride height, as well as new shocks. So the back of this thing should handle just as well as the front.
With all that suspension and brake work, obviously we also needed wheels and tires, and TreadSource.com hooked us up with these Falcon Azenis tires, which are like incredible racy overkill for this pile, but we're good with that. And it's also got Wheel Vintiques Steelies on it. They're 17x8 and 17x9.5. And I really dig this powder coating that we had done at MB in Orange County, California. But now we're gonna go thrash on it right there at the Autocross. Not that the car is really, really fast, it was just way better than it should be considering how it looks. I couldn't believe how flat it was and how much it stuck. A lot of that is the tires. If it had a posi in it, we'd be somebody. It was actually spinning the tires off the corner. As a matter of fact, we outran a late model Mustang. It was stock and it had some like 400 treadwear tires. These are 200 and it ran 114 at the Autocross and we were at a 113.2. So man, that was fun. When Nick and I were going around in the car together, we were just laughing our asses off. Now we're gonna get back with Nick and head over to the slalom and the brake test.
To my surprise, we take the car through the slalom course and it handles great. It went through at 6.34 seconds, which is equivalent to 45 miles an hour. And that equates to just a little bit worse than a brand new Camaro. So after the slalom, we brake tested the car and it stopped in 166 feet, which again, looking at the car, you would think it would be a lot worse, but this car stopped great. So now that I'm convinced that Freiburger really wasn't trying to kill me because the car does handle well and it stops well, I think we've had enough.
You know, I tell people we're gonna leave this car just the way it is and they stare at you like you just set their dog on fire. But that's what's cool about it actually, is people not getting it. But for me, this thing is a reliable and now really fun daily driver, and so it's done. Off to the next project.